after the draft thoughts that we got some good players and we got guys that were higher on our list, so that makes us happy. But as always, time will tell how right our list was. But we got guys that were fairly high on our list, so it always is a good thing.
You drafted 2 Russian players, I believe.
Yeah.
Do you think those guys may have gone higher in a quote-unquote normal year? Is there any impact there?
I can't speak on anybody else's behalf. I think we just did our list the way it was, and they came to us where we felt that it was appropriate time to draft them, and that's it.
Yeah. 1 year later, can you speak to the transformative effects of the Seth Jones trade? Players you got, including Jiricek last night.
Yeah, well, I've said it before that when you depart with a real good player like Seth Jones is, you expect to have a big return, and I think we got a good return, and we're happy with it, and we're going to build into the future with a lot of those parts that we got in the trade.
Yeah.
Do you feel like last year's trade, this year's trade, having so many high picks that you had, can be, you're trying to build a new core, right, going forward. And just how important, is having those high picks? I mean, I know it seems like a no-brainer, but
yeah, it's the higher you pick, and more now we had 4 or 5 first-round picks in the last 2 drafts. It's obviously gives us a lot better opportunity to grab some top-end talent, and that's what we feel like we did and accomplished in the last 2 drafts.
Yeah, when you look around the league and you see a Colorado or even a Tampa Bay, those type of teams, I mean that's primarily how they're built, right? Is through the draft.
Yeah, and I've said this many times before that unless you suffer through a couple of bad years and get to pick high in the draft, you usually don't get that top end talent that can win you championships. There's very few exceptions to that. Colorado had the 49-point season, I believe, and the results are well known what they got from those tough years that they had, and they got first overall with Nathan McKinnon, they got 4th overall with Cale Makar, and those are the difference makers that you need, and same goes to almost all the championship teams. Victor Hedman was 2nd overall, Steven Stamkos was 1st overall, and you often forget when you build and suffer through those years that when it finally materializes and you become good and you can stay good for a while, then it's easy to forget those bad years when you had to suffer through tough times and pick high. But you look at the championship teams. There's not too many there that haven't had those years where they had to go through tough times but got the high draft picks.
Get more kind of specific. The Bell Blues. There was some thought that maybe he could have snuck into the first round last year. You get him pretty early in the second. How happy are you? Where you got him and that you got him.
Yeah, we had him right into the first round, so we're happy to get him where we got him, and time will tell again how accurate or how right we were with our rankings in our list, but. We were happy to get him there, and then if I move forward with that a little bit smaller kid, Dumais, it's pretty extraordinary to have 109 points in one season as an 18-year-old, and he doesn't have a lot of size, but he's got some grit, and he's played through being the target on his back, being the leading scorer of his team, and still being able to produce. So we got a lot of faith in him. He's got some special skills and instincts, so we'll see what he can do. And then the Russian kid Dolchenko is huge, and he can play too. So again, I think he has a big upside, and that's what we're banking on. And the next one's the goalie, right? Yeah. So I'll get Nicklas Backstrom to talk about goalies, because I only know how many times the red light lights up behind the goalies, and that's about the end of my goalie analysis. That's why we got guys that understand the position and can break it down technically. I mean, I'm looking at more of the mental side of things. They let in one bad goal, how do they respond, and how calm do they, confident they look when the games are on the line, and that type of things. But technically, as far as explaining what kind of goalie he is, I'm going to leave that to Nick Backstrom, and then Fisher, you can see him right there. He's got a good frame. He plays a physical brand of game, and he can also play. So he's got some grit and toughness to him. We got one guy from our size strength forward column, which that's one of the ways we break things down so we can kind of fill out different needs in our depth chart, and we got one out of that column with our last pick, so we're pretty happy right now.
Remember, a lot of guys who watch the OHL closely were saying that Del Belbaluz drew the assignment of checking Shane Wright a lot. I wonder how much his success in that impressed your scouts, or did that make word to you about that element of his game?
We like his two-way game. That's important part. Like you in the NHL, it doesn't matter what kind of offense you have, especially if you want to win championships, you're going to have to play a two-way game. You see with the best teams in the league this year, they got the superstars, but they play a 200-foot game. They come back and back check hard and play defense. So that's an important part. But he's also got some pretty special qualities in making plays and being creative offensively and so forth. So we think we got a good one.
Does he need to work on his skating a bit?
I think everybody needs to work on skating from junior to the NHL.
Yeah.
They do make it. Smaller guys always seem to be typecast a little bit as having the chip on their shoulder because it's harder. You'd rather have a bigger guy in a lot of cases than a smaller guy. But do you just like that attitude that he brings to the table and that kind of that you mentioned grit a little bit? He seems like he has some of that fire and that passion.
Yeah. There are a lot of great smaller players in the NHL, a lot of them, and they all have that one quality where they're very competitive and gritty, and they play through traffic, and that's one quality that we think he has. And like I said, he was able to produce some really big numbers in the Quebec League. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see these guys now in the Traverse City tournament. Really interesting.
I do have one on the goalie that's not technical. It's the goalie stands. I think he's listed 5'11". You guys have shown with Veini Vehviläinen, I believe, that you don't have to be the tallest guy for you guys to draft him. But you guys kind of go against the grain a little bit, don't you?
Well,
most people.
Jussi Saros with Nashville's 5'10". It's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
You may have been asked this before I showed up, but just do you feel like you checked off a lot of boxes? I mean, you get 2 defensemen first round, center after that, some really interesting wingers, a goalie. You kind of got everything you were looking for, I'd have to guess.
Yeah, and that's what you want to accomplish in the draft. And we didn't have those middle round picks. We were able to get one, swap the 5th into the next year's 5th, and we filled that goalie need that we felt that we needed to put into our depth chart. So we're good.